Namaste, welcome everyone. I'm Sudama. We're going to be meditating deep zone today, exploring a principle called Spanda. First things first, we're just going to breathe. Delicious oxygen coming in. Breathing. Beautiful oxygen. Welcome everyone. So while people arrive, let's just gonna float in the zone. Be in that deep space of love in the heart, beautiful joy center, expanding principle, feeling good just being, pure delicious being. Picking up from yesterday. Just take the next minute. Just allow the peace to just drop in. Beautiful peace. Ocean of peace. Delicious breath. Just preparing yourself for meditation. Find the right posture. Let your heartbeat calm down. Come to that sweet place. Beautiful sweetness. Just let the world wash over you. Whatever was on your mind earlier, just letting it wash over you. Inviting in this oceanic feeling. Beautiful oceanic feeling. Welcome everyone who's just joining us. Just treading water in the ocean of consciousness. Right? Getting comfortable with just beingness. Usually there are forces in the world that are urging us to do all these things. But it's so nice every once in a while just release them back to the universe. Be the viewer, not the doer. And just allow. It's funny, the different words like Alleluia, Allah, allow. What's going on with the magic L syllable? The magical L syllable connects the tongue to the roof of the mouth, which links a electromagnetic charge that connects up to the top of the head. So when we put that tongue there, it's Alleluia, right? Love, life, laughter, that la energy is a link to the third eye, to the, call it the crown of light at the top. So we want to link the heart up through this, call it the narrative department here, the throat, the talkie-walkie center, right? Move up through this center, clear the pathway of all these words, all these different stories that are holding us back, right? your story is today. Maybe it's a beautiful story and that's great. But if your mind is not quite right, the story you're telling is, you're torturing yourself in any way, allowing a bigger field to come in that allows heart energy to move up through the throat chakra, up into this more expanded center. But the inner voice, or maybe not the deepest voice, but the chatter needs to stop with its clatter as we climb up the ladder into this higher zone. And so we breathe, allowing the good feeling, homeopathic principle to attract more good feelings, which then rest and resolve the anxious feelings. And if your heart is hurting, and you know who you are, if your heart is hurting, we're going to do a fabulous heart bath resolve today. Why not? A lot of hurt hearts out there for whatever reason. And let's just get right to that for a minute, all right? Because if you're hurting, then everything else is So we want to resolve, release any pain. Let's say first thought is, hey, you don't need that stuff. So intention is to just delete the files, avoid the crocodiles of the mind, and drop in to this beautiful place, the joy center, infinite peace. It's a neutral zone. You can say God lives in a little house. I said that like I'm from Canada. Little house. Diana's from Canada. So we're just experiencing God in the little house, in your heart. That relaxes brain. That stops this yakety. Creates this flow. It's like the liquid love goes up into this liquid third eye, avoiding this more sort of plate-like structures of the alternate chakras, right? It's sort of built on this hard, soft principle, right? The base, second chakra, fourth chakra, sixth chakra, very liquid. So let's just notice that for a minute. Where do you feel liquid? Where do you feel stuck? Basically, you want to give your heart the best platform. And if you notice if you're stuck somewhere, just noticing that sets your mind to resolving it. Especially in this kind of field that we're generating with the healing intention. We've heated that healing griddle up, so little problemas will just hopefully pop like popcorn. You know. Bye-bye problemas. No más. Arrivederci, ciao. Gone. All right, that's what you want. So where are you left? In this beautiful space of peace, when the thinking mind calms down. Right. Mind is almost always the problem. Also naughty mind. We just relax brain. Allow the mind. Sort of shoots off a few more firecrackers and then calms itself down. It's like you don't want to give it too much to chew on. It's like the larger the vision, the larger the meditative object, you could say, if it's an oceanic feeling you're meditating on, that expands the mind so hugely that it's no longer in a contracted state. It's no longer going to punish you for some silly reason. We just want to, in a sense, shoot the mind right out into like a giant peacock fan. Just back into cosmic mind. And that leaves lots of space. We love space. Space is the place. Very alkaline. The example I was using yesterday was, if you get into an elevator full of people, that's more like acid base. It's more jammied up particles in smaller and smaller space, versus the alkaline elevator where there's nobody there but you. Space. No pain in space usually, but there's pain with pressure. So we notice, what's the pressure? What's happening in you that might be generating pressure? Pressure equals pain. So we resolve pain, then you can meditate. If you're really hungry, you usually need to eat before you meditate. Dizzy from earthquake this morning, says Kabir. Interesting. You are sensitive like elephant, my friend. That's good. Right, you're feeling it. Us densos, we didn't notice. But that's okay. So if the earth is shaking, that brings me to the subject of this talk, which is Spanda. It's not really a talk, it's a meditation. But what is Spanda? If you were watching the Power versus Force meditation of about 6 weeks ago, we talked about this link between deep, spacious self and activity. Indian philosophy originated around this duality of, call it Purusha and Prakriti, meaning there was a separation between the observer principle and the material substances of the universe. But then Indian philosophy over time evolved, especially in the late 10th, 11th century in Kashmir, developed this Spanda principle, which resolved a lot of philosophical issues, but also, you could say from a meditative point of view, seems to be true, right? And what is Spanda? It literally is defined as a throb. It's like a pulse. It's like an earthquake is a kind of earth Spanda, right? Could leave you a little dizzy, disequilibrate your semicircular canals, utricles. So for anyone feeling dizzy, want to balance out this carpenter level phenomenon in the ears, utricles, semicircular canals, finding that level, coming down the middle, is usually a good balancing move for dizziness, feeling your feet anchoring into the earth. And then back to this idea of Spanda. Spanda is pure desire before it lands on anything. We know this going into Trader Joe's or someplace where you know you want something and you don't know what yet, but you go down one of those aisles and there it is, right? That crunchy peanut butter you're looking for, whatever it is that suddenly your Spanda principle aligns, lands on an object, and this desire that's coming up from the deep place suddenly seizes upon this peanut butter. And that's fine, right? We do this all day. But from a meditative, strategic point of view, if we understand the Spanda principle, you can untangle yourself from what's called the chain of pain. The chain of pain, oh! The chain of pain essentially is the teaching of Buddha, which is that dukkha, which translates to dukkha, meaning bad wheel, or broken axle. If you were driving around in a chariot back then and your axle was broken, you lose. So dukkha, frustration, oh, pain, suffering, right? So the Buddha says this world is full of this, but to untangle it, you have to go back up the chain of pain, back to ignorance, basically. He's saying that if you have ignorance, then you don't understand who you are, what you are. That leads to the chain of pain. So from that point of view, the pure I am principle is super valuable for untangling from the chain of pain. Let that settle in for a minute. We'll just breathe into the pure I am principle, observation principle. And yet within this principle there is spanda, right? There is this pulsation. We throb, we vibrate the universe in some way or another, right? That's what we do. So notice, where does this come from? In the Sanskrit philosophical traditions, they've identified that there are these 4 levels that this basic uprising emerges from, right? The sort of deepest primal level. It comes up through the heart, and then Vaikari level, and then into speech. Right? We have this desire, then it turns into a statement or a request or whatever we're doing. It can show up as a desire for something. And since we're so full of desires, mostly, well, let's say we don't always satisfy them, which leaves us frustrated. Okay, so what's the solution? Pure I am awareness tracks it back a bit to the source of the pure I am pulse before you even want anything in particular. When you come back to that pure desire principle and experience it as a throb in your body, let's just do that. There is this feeling there. Maybe you don't know what you're looking for, but just notice little desires come up, especially if you're on the East Coast. Maybe it's dinner time, right? You're thinking dinner. So maybe you had dinner. So maybe your desires are, what are you going to do after the meditation, right? Or the mind, right? Desires start to show up based on this feeling of I want something. You just want something, right? Just want. Oh, I want. Okay, so we turn that back around on itself so that what you receive is yourself, right? You want yourself, because that's, according to St. Francis anyway, that's what's going on, right? You're seeking that which is seeking. That's the quote. So if you're looking for that which is seeking, then look no further. Just turn that iPhone cam into selfie mode. The ultimate selfie is not something you post on Facebook, right? The ultimate selfie is to experience the pure I am. Now you may want to post a selfie, and that's Spanda, right? That's the desire, wanting to grab onto something and go chaga. And that's all very fun, and we love to do that. The only problem is it limits us in 3D, right? Sort of like planting your stake into the density, and then there you are, right? You have to undo from the density. So desires are fine, right? But they bring us into density, and so if you want out from the density, track it back up the chain of pain. And let's just go over what that is for a minute. So if I can remember the Sanskrit, it's like ajnana is ignorance, which leads to aviveka, which is lack of discrimination, which leads to abhimana, which is wrong identification. That's where it really starts to get loopy, because you start to think, I am this problem. Instead of like, I'm just checking this out, and it's just not really a problem, it just looks like one. That's better, right? From a deep space, deep meditative perspective. But if you're getting tangled up in the abhimana level, meaning you're really identifying with your thoughts, you're screwed. Meaning that's where the problem locks you in, right? You really think you're your latest thought, and then you're all set to defend it. And then, right, then you're locked into a polarity, and then there's duality, and then, right? So we can pull back from that, back to that abhimana level, And then we get shrishti and drishti. That's we get the, let's see, what's it called? Attraction and aversion. Don't worry about the Sanskrit. Attraction and aversion is where the desire starts to translate into something very specific. And aversion is just as much of a problem as attraction. The law of repulsion is equally problematic as the law of attraction, although the law of attraction is not problematic, but it could be, right? So on this level, we're coming down to attraction and aversion, which leads to karma, meaning then you do something because you want that peanut butter and you pick it off the shelf in Trader Joe's and you put it in your cart online or whatever you're doing. And that's the karma, right? That's the actual, that just means action. A lot of people are confused by this word. They're like, Sudama, can you send me karma? I'm like, no, you don't want me to send you karma. Right? You want to undo your karma. Undo these actions that might be causing suffering and pain and whatever, right? That's the karmic circumstance. But karma in and of itself is just karma, right? It just comes from the root verb to and so it gets complicated. If you talk to the gurus, they'll say that karma is unfathomable, right? You cannot understand karma because it's circular and multidimensional and involves other lives and whatever, right? It's very complex. But good news is we can neutralize karma in the present moment, especially if it's a problem. So anyway, so karma is, you're almost there with the chain of pain. Once you get karma, you have embodiment. Oh my God. Then you have a body. Now you're stuck in this world and which is a cool world. From another perspective, this is actually the place you want to be, even though maybe it feels like Gandhi in jail or something, right? I'm a liberated soul, what am I doing here, right? But that prison of this world is actually the temple of the Supreme I Am. In other words, you can build a solid basis in this realm so that your astral travels, you can have a dock, right? You can come home, you can ground, right? I've said this before, angels can't turn off faucets. That's difficult, right? Astrally, to kind of manipulate the universe from the astral world. So that's not the highest attainment. You might be a great astral traveler, but maybe it's difficult for you to get to the grocery store. So this level, if you can accomplish it, right, is very #1 special K, right? So this is what we want, to be powerful on this level, right? This is the teachings of the great yogis. And so that janma, that embodiment, well, that leads to dukkha, as we said, right? That's this pain, suffering, chain of pain, broken wheel. Oh my God, the enemy is whacking me now that my chariot is broken. So we reel it back, right? We go from the dukkha back to the janma, to the karma, to the raga and devesha. That's what you call attraction and aversion. Back to the wrong identification, abhimana. Back to the wrong discrimination, aviveka. Back to ajnana, which just means ignorance. And that's pretty much the cause of everything that's problematic, right? If you ask scholars of terrorism, like my father, you say, Dad, what's the deal with terrorism? He's like, it comes from ignorance, right? And so we terrorize ourselves, so we'd have to conclude. This is taking it from my dad, right? Ignorance leads to torturing yourself and other people, right? So going back up the chain of pain, back to that ignorance level, and then how about head above water? Stand on a brick if you're underwater, right? You want to get clear. 51% gives you a platform of infinite possibility. You're the major CEO of you. And then your spanda is under control. You can respond appropriately, right? Your spanda doesn't have to like suck you into some universe that takes you off to bonkersville, right? Where you just go crazy over some attachment. So we release the attachment As I said, this is a healing for the heart, right? The chain of pain comes from this stages of attachment. Grasping is kind of what it is, right? This slow density that comes about from we're wanting something that's really concrete. So that's fine, right? But it's good to balance it out, right? To go back the other way periodically, back up to the hydrogen, back up to the spacious, gracious, spaciousness of your crown chakra. That beautiful relationship to the galaxy, which keeps you affirmed down the middle to the earth, mother. And how can you lose? Got the earth mother, sky father, axis mundi, beautiful tree of you and me, feeling free. This is good. Let's just meditate on that feeling where the spanda sort of comes to a neutral place, where you're aware that you have this longing. Right? Just what the Sufi saints are all about, this longing. Right? And then what? They're not squandering it into worldliness. They're containing the longing, refocusing it into that divine uplift. It's like literally they're investing in their education, right? In your edification, in your structure, in your spiritual life. The greatest of saints had these problems, right? St. Augustine was a crazy youth, evidently. Right? And then these people, they come to peace in their heart. So does that mean you can't want anything? Of course not. But if we're more aware of our wanting process, I would suggest that's the goal, right? To be conscious of what you're doing comes in many categories, right? Mindfulness. Meditation is kind of that. This continuous forgiveness prayer, meditation. Forgiveness, gratitude experience of meditation. Continuous experience of pure being, that is meditation. Breathing through the nose. So that gives us a little bit of pause, right? When we're going to go out and grab hold of something with the mind. Oh, we don't have to get overly sucked in. Right? You could work with whatever it is without the over-identification with it. Because that's where the pain part comes in. It's like meditation is like pulling back on the reins of the horses a little bit. Right? It wants to just, the senses just want to take off. Right? Like, whoa. In a sense, the reins are the mind, right? That you control things with. And then it turns out the less you control, in a sense, the more you find peace. It just happens. You don't need to control the peace. It's the result of not controlling. Ne? Noticing the part is watching. The Spanda principle is confirmed by quantum physics, right? Because we know that the observer of the experiment is not only observing the experiment, they're affecting the experiment. So our observation isn't just, right, we're not just bystanders, actually. We're, in a sense, it is an amazing kind of engagement, a whole nother level. You can use the breath to take you deeper. If your mind is looking for something to grab onto, right, the more you meditate, I find that you don't need to grab onto anything. Sort of like somebody who's first in a pool, like, oh, grabbing onto it, oh, I'm drowning here. Right, but if you've ever been in a Watsu pool, at first you realize, wow, I'm going to be pulled underwater and I'm not going to be able to breathe. And then you realize, wow, I don't seem to even need to breathe. The water baby that you are, right? Somehow the body figures out just when to breathe. So that gives a lot of credit to the body, right? The body is brilliant. Body is the smartest thing in the galaxy. Right? It's millions of years old. It knows so much. That's why we can ask it kinesiological questions. It knows all the answers. You just ask. It gives you a digital response usually, right? Weak, strong, open, closed, yes, no, whatever you want. But as gurus tell us, you have to ask for the grace, usually. Right? If you ask for the grace, it's like Google. More specific you are, right? The faster the download, the greater the acquisition, right? Whatever you want. So we breathe into that Spanda principle that's pulsing. But if we can engage it in such a way that it's like a cresting wave, it doesn't crash into some sort of transaction where it's all stirred up and crashed out, right? It's, you retain, it's like holding a certain equipoise, certain kind of energy. That's right. It's like being a musician, right? You have to hold a certain tension, even though everyone else is in bliss, you have to hold that tension, right? So there is that dynamic, right? You're having to work a little bit to sustain the flow, and then eventually you work less hard, right? It just happens. So we're gonna breathe, and let's isolate where in your body are you feeling whatever you might be feeling. What's going on in your body? Just check in. You could feel a pulse in your gut, right? Spanda comes up from the gut often. Could come out of your heart, come out of your mind. Where are you vibrating the universe? Right? We all want to vibrate the universe somehow, because we are that Spanda principle. We're not just the deep self, we're the engaging self with creation, right? There's this beautiful interface between non-linear, linear, duality, non-duality. I believe we can call that love, flow, the good feeling that attracts the healing. So we breathe. 90% of our energy is oxygen. Water is mostly oxygen. Protein is 25% oxygen. Carbs, 50% almost. It's oxygen, energy, prana shakti coming in. Just rise and flow with this waveform. It's like desire itself rises and dissolves, doesn't it? Right? We feel something, oh, I have to have this. Oh, no, never mind. Oh. Meditation just allows all that hoo-ha to kind of come back down to peace, beautiful peace. What's happening with these movements in your body? Are you hungry? Are you sad? Emotions, you could say, is electrical energy moving. Could be negative or positive. And so to be in the right sort of abeyance of the heart, balance of the heart, you want negative pressure, positive pressure, pH, percentage of the hydrogen needs to be balanced. Water is the perfect pressure. Water is gratitude, right? 70% of you is water, so we're just basking in this wondrous glow. The water principle, the perfect alkaline situation. If you're tilting, if you're going south of water, if you're going into this acid compression place, release back to get in that alkaline elevator where there's spacious graciousness. Not the COVID elevator, the alkaline elevator, right? Where space, beautiful hydrogen, right? As we move up towards the hydrogen, we move out of the density of the atomic table in the body, right? The noble gases are the chakras, right? Hydrogen, hydrogen, helium, neon, argon, the most noble of the gases, argon. Balanced by cobalt, cyanocobalamin, B12, right? It's a denser vitamin. The other more soluble vitamins are higher up in the atomic table or in this chakra, right? So mostly we want to hang out in these higher chakras, but we anchor into a deeper link to the subtle energy body from the second chakra, where essentially krypton distills into xenon, to be specific. And that is like ground, right? That anchors you in your body. If you're a kite and you anchor yourself up here, it might fly away, right? There is this kind of need to be plugged into the density part, so you don't travel too far in your meditation and get lost, right? It keeps you there, right? Keeps you in your body. Turns out you don't really need to leave your body to meditate. You can, right? But what's the point if you can just have your body kind of disappear while you're sitting inside of this meat package, and then your mind does the same thing, and there you are, in your scintillating wondrousness. So let's just do that. Breathe. The pure I am awareness, the part that's always watching you be you. Let's go there. Notice this part. I'm going to read you a poem I wrote in India once. Actually, I might read several poems. They're meditation poems I wrote in the Ganeshpuri courtyard. I was the hall monitor. This is called Nileshwari, Sacred Lake. Today, meditation came like a lake and swept away my thoughts. A blue lotus wrapped me in her petals and hummed me into a mantra, Nileshwari. Some think you are just water, but what do they know? Walk a mile for this camel. Take a camel and go into the oasis of your heart. You'll never be thirsty, for there, a well leads back to paradise. Rest in the shade of the great tree. On her branches, the bird of paradise sings about you. It's the only song they know. This is called Voices. My gift says I love you. My eyes say, look, please love me. My heart says, smother me, mother me. My pen says, think highly of me. But my soul says, I am love. Gravity. Tonight, I won't think too much. My heart is full. My pen feels like dancing. Poems are slipping about in a wet courtyard, and these beads are so satisfying in my hand. Gravity is not for me. This evening, but it does bring the rain, and I'm grateful. We think of meditation as a gratitude prayer, a continuous gratitude prayer. Just feeling that beautiful feeling of being. This is called Dandaka. This is the forest that Rama lived in. Rama's incarnation of Vishnu. Rama waits in the forest for you, poised with the bow of Vishnu, an arrow for each of the 6 thieves. His eyes melt the darkness like 2 steaming black coals. No demons will pass by here. Tonight, we are safe. Vishwamitra, pour some ghee onto the fire. Sometimes it feels good to burn. Yesterday, where I was reading from Yaneshwari about how the Kundalini burns up your earth element, burns up your water element, burns up all your elements, turns you back into source fire, right? Turns you into pure consciousness, ultimately. And so there is this, when we're engaging with meditation, we're dealing with fire, ultimately. We're dealing with Kundalini Ma, we're dealing with this powerful transformative force, right? It's making you more like her, right? Making you more like pure I am Shakti power. I'll read a few more poems, why not? This must be the jumping off place. Tonight, your sky body looms large and is full of stars. If I could just grasp your hands, I would step into the heavens. If I just had a foothold, I would vault over the moon. This must be the jumping off place where your eyes touch mine. But who needs to jump when I can fall backwards and melt into your heart? It's called grace. Let me weave the colors of your smile into the silk of my thoughts. You are my anchor in my ocean. You wash over me like 10,000 mystical songs. If I should fall, let it be into your arms like stars, netted in the foam of the fisherman's catch. And so melting back I go into my element. You are my element. Your songs lift me like palm trees in a breeze and set me down softly in the sighs of the night surf. You watch over me like the evening. You watch over me with 10,000 gleaming silver eyes. Inner callings arrive self-spoken, blazing and scintillating like the choirs of celestials. You breathe into tired souls when the veils are lifted and the power lines are down. One more poem about that. It's called Harvest. When I built my house with worship, my prayers were answered, but not in the way I imagined. My fears were consumed by flames that arose from within. A bounty of seeds sprang to life and candles blazed across the heartland, fusing 1,000 desires into one great longing, divine longing. Well, there's that Spanda principle, right? Divine longing. Beautiful, throbbing expression of love for the divine. Just relaxing brain. Beautiful feeling. sending out a wave of love, all of the people of this world. Yes, we're sending out a wave of love to all of the people of this world, this world, this world, this world. Love, 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 wherever it's spoken of. Love's the strongest thing. Love's the strongest thing, yeah. Love's the strongest thing in the universe. Peace, precious peace, let peace never cease. Wherever it's spoken of, love's the strongest thing, yeah. Love's the strongest thing, yeah. Love's the strongest thing in the universe. Peace, precious peace, let peace never cease. Love's the strongest thing in the universe, yeah. Love, 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 wherever it's spoken of. Love's the strongest thing. Love is the strongest thing, yeah. Love's the strongest thing in the universe. Yes, we're sending out a wave of love to all of the people of this world, this world, this world. Yes, we're sending out a wave of love to all of the people of this world, this world, this world. Love, 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 wherever it's spoken of. Love's the strongest thing. Love's the strongest thing. Love's the strongest thing in the universe. Peace, precious peace, let peace never cease. Love's the strongest thing in the universe, yeah. Cause we're sending out a wave of love to all of the people of this world, this world, this world. Love, 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 wherever it's spoken of. Love's the strongest thing. Love's the strongest thing. Love's the strongest thing in the universe. Love, 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 love. Love's the strongest thing. Love, love, love. Cause we're sending out a wave of love to all of the people of this world. Yes, we're sending out a wave of love to all of the people of this world, this world, this world, this world. Namaste, everyone. Beautiful evening wherever you may be. Thank you for joining this little fun adventure into the deep space of the heart. Billion blessings, billion blessings.